What up, folks? This is Michael once again in the wee hours of the night in the graveyard shift with your daily trivia question. And happy Sunday. It's easy like Sunday morning. And whatever you do today, be sure you try and keep it that way. And it's cold like Sunday morning too, for sure. I don't think we're going to warm up until later on in the week. So just get your jackets and your hoodies out and keep them out. That's that. So the answer to the previous trivia question was, of course, the famous quote, "Death and Taxes." Nothing is certain but death and taxes by Benjamin Franklin, the one and only. So in his time, Franklin may very well have been the most quoted public figure of his generation without question. This man had his hands in everything. If you've even studied just the minimal amount of information on Benjamin Franklin, he was a publisher, entrepreneur, diplomat, easy for me to say, politician, a lifelong public servant. He was even an inventor, and of course, as we all know, he was one of the most significant founding fathers, and his face is on the $100 bill. Can't get any better than that. Franklin became known for his sayings and his proverbs that appeared in many publications, including Poor Richard's Almanac and his newspaper, the Pennsylvania Gazette. His famous quote was in a letter that he penned, and it stated, quote, "Our new Constitution is now established and has an appearance that promises permanency. But in this world, nothing can be said to be certain except death and taxes." The really cool thing about this quote is that he gets the lion's share and most of the credit for it. It's actually often mistaken that Mark Twain quoted this. Mark Twain had nothing to do with this quote. Of course, Benjamin Franklin said it in a letter, and he often gets the lion's share of credit for it, but it was actually, he wasn't the first person to reference death and taxes. Daniel Defoe, as early as 1726, was quoted as saying, "Things as certain as death and taxes can be more firmly believed." And going all the way back before that to 1716, a man named Christopher Bullock says, "'Tis impossible to be sure of anything but death and taxes." So that's probably where Benjamin Franklin, being the very wise individual that he was, got that information from. But of course, Benjamin gets all the credit for everything. While the concept of death and taxes, quote, existed before Franklin, the publication of his papers in 1817 made the proverb a staple in American popular culture that still very much continues to this day. You can hear it quoted all the time. Ironically enough, in the famous letter where he made this quote, where death and taxes became so famous, Franklin was talking about his failing health and how he could not be expected to hold out much longer. Speaking of death, and he died very, very shortly after that. So that's Benjamin Franklin and one of his famous quotes, quite possibly his last quote as well. And of course, that brings us to today's trivia question to get this brand new week started, mid-November already, November 14th, on this day in 1995. This is a cool question. I remember when this happened. The first of these occurs, which would last for 6 days, where more than 800,000 non-essential federal workers stayed home from work. National parks and museums would temporarily close, and most government offices would be run with very few people. You guys have a good day of rest. You deserve it. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.